For the presentation of colors, please welcome the City of Miami Beach Fire and Police Honor Guard. To present the Pledge of Allegiance, please welcome representatives from the City of Miami Beach arts and cultural institutions. Doors. To sing America the Beautiful, please welcome Nicole Henry.
Oh,
to present the State of the City Address. Please welcome the 38th Mayor of the City of Miami Beach, Dan Gelber.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. First of all, thank you all so much for coming. And thank you, Rabbi Pomerantz, who was a counselor in training when I first met her. Thank you for those very beautiful and inspiring words. You've come a long way. I want to thank Howard Herring for hosting us, but also for those obviously overly generous comments about me, which were wonderful because my sister Barbara had to sit silently through them. So thank you for that. Thank you to the amazing Nicole Henry for that wonderful rendering of America the Beautiful. I mean, Nicole is really a treasure of our city. And you, I think, probably know, I prefer America the Beautiful to the Star-Spangled Banner. Great controversy there. Because it is a poem that speaks to a nation that believes its greatness must be crowned with goodness. And I feel the same way about our city. We must seek to be beautiful on the outside in how we present to the world, but also on the inside, on what we value as a community. And I'd like to thank all of our friends who are here, especially the County Commissioners Eileen Higgins and our newly elected Commissioner Mickey Steinberg for all they do for our community. I believe Commissioner Renee Garcia, a colleague of mine from the legislature, is here. Thank you also for coming, Renee. And, you know, Commissioner Steinberg, you have some pretty big heels to fill. Because this year, after 35 years of service, is our own force of nature, retiring Sally Heyman. Sally, gosh, thank you for everything. I sat next to Sally in the Florida legislature, and she often let me know what my opinion was, but she was usually right. And Alina Hudak, thank you so much. Alina sweats the details of our city so we don't have to. And we are fortunate to have her. Equally lucky to have our deputy, Eric Carpenter, assistant city managers, Mark Texas, and of course the newly minted assistant, Raquel Williams. Thank you all. Before we begin talking about our city, I think it appropriate to take a moment to acknowledge some city leaders who we lost this year, but who contributed so substantially to the wellness of our city. The sudden loss of Commissioner Mark Samuelin hurt. His colleagues knew him as only an honest and thoughtful resident-first public official. He was a true gentleman in every way from any angle. Thank you, Commissioner Laura Dominguez, for so ably picking up the mantle of Mark's work. Clerk of Court Harvey Rubin was a longtime beach resident. He served in county government for 50 years. Think about that. He was always a conscientious and able public servant. He was ringing the bell about climate change for decades, well before anyone else even uttered that phrase. And he used his platform to advocate on this issue, which is so critical to our community. So thank you for all of what he did in memory. And of course, Mr. Miami Beach, Michael Aller. Though never elected, in many respects, he was the unofficial mayor of our community. He was responsive and caring, a little bit mischievous, but always fabulous. And those are exactly the adjectives that we use to describe our city. That's why he was Mr. Miami Beach. And we will obviously miss all of these wonderful public servants. Finally, I'd like to recognize my wife, Joan Silverstein. First of all, don't clap yet. Wait till I tell you about her. First of all, thank you, Joan. Where are you? There she is. Thank you. for taking time off from your unimportant job as a federal prosecutor. So Max is now a freshman in college. Our nest is entirely empty other than Roxy and Buddy. So we have absolutely nothing to do right now. So Joan, sorry, you're stuck with me, and frankly, I wouldn't have it any other way. I love you. Thank you. All right, and I want to thank all of those cultural institutions, which we're going to talk about in a second, for coming out. It really, if you saw that assemblage, they rarely are all together. That is the leadership of our cultural community. I want to especially thank David Schechter, a survivor who has been incredibly important in the evolution of our Holocaust Memorial. Thank you, David, very much for coming out. Okay. So how are we doing? What is the state of our city? So if you judge it by resort tax revenues, which have since COVID been at all-time historic levels, with each month the highest ever, the business of our city is booming. If you look at our financial reserves, which are at unprecedented strength, as are our bond ratings, which are a strong AA+, we are fiscally very, very solid. Even our crime rate, which has been declining, reflects a safer city. And if you judge us by the number of people cold calling our residents and texting to buy their homes, it feels pretty amazing to be us. So yes, by most metrics, the state of Miami Beach is strong, very, very, very strong. But we still have challenges that must be met straight on. You know, like most cities, Miami Beach has evolved over the decades like the phases of a life. When I was a kid, it was the Coppertone toddler phase, when our city was defined only by its retirees and northern tourists with zinc on their noses. Later, we went through our Miami Vice phase, perhaps an adolescence of sorts, with models and lots of clubs and Will Smith's famous Miami song, letting the world know we party to the break of dawn. But who we are today is much different, and I believe much better. We are a truly cultural city that values its green spaces and respects its environmental gifts, that embraces its diversity, and there is still partying going on, I am told, even sometimes to the break of dawn, but so much more is happening here, so much more now defines us. There can be no question at all, that we are in the midst of a generational moment in our city's history, and indeed the wider community's history. The interest from people who want to come here, to work here, invest here, is unprecedented. How we harness it, lean into it, and command it will define whether we have discovered the best version of our city or whether this is just another fleeting moment. So let's talk for the next few minutes about our path to assuring that this vision of our city, of a live, work, play community, is durable and long-lasting. How to grow those attributes. But also let's discuss the real challenges we face, so we can confront them head on, so they don't overwhelm what we love about Miami Beach. Now, regarding the positive, my vision for our city has focused on strengthening our art and culture profile and upgrading our parks and green spaces. Okay, you can clap, but it's going to come a lot now. I believe these attributes, they create something that all great cities possess and lesser cities aspire to, namely a true sense of place. And in these areas, there has been nothing short of a true and total renaissance. Until really only a few decades ago, the art and culture scene was limited in South Florida. When I was a teenager, at my first job ushering, yes, life has not been kind to me, ushering at the convention center, our cultural fare was professional wrestling and boxing. But so much more has happened since then. Art Basel and some of our premier culture institutions like the New World Center, the Miami City Ballet, the Bass, and Miami New Drama gave us a taste of what we could be. And the growth over the last 20 years and even the last 10, has been remarkable. Public art seems to be just appearing magically throughout our city, like the beautiful plinth donated recently by Irma and Norman Brayman to Pride Park, or Star Child, who I think just landed on 41st Street one night without anybody knowing it. Music seems to be creeping into our open spaces as groups like the Miami Beach Classical Music Festival, thank you Michael Rossi and Jonathan Plutzik, make our city their stage. So I was not surprised, not one bit, when 65% of our residents voted last November for our $159 million cultural bond. You were paying much more than lip service, as your investment will elevate our arts profile to unimagined levels. It will be difficult to name a single city our size in the world with the volume of cultural venues and activity. And that does not even include the critical mass of museums and performance spaces directly outside our border. This commitment will make clear to the world who we are. Now, your bond funds 14 cultural venues and 3 initiatives that impact the entire city and beyond. And I think it's worth highlighting what you can look forward to. First, the new venues. In North Beach, a new Byron Carlisle multi-purpose cultural arts center. It will include some or all of the following: movie theaters, a black box performance space, exhibition and education spaces, a cafe, perhaps even Arts Force housing. Now, further south, a new Collins Park Cultural Center, where Michelle Hausman and Nick Rickberg's phenomenal Miami New Drama will manage a cultural hub with a theater and space for programming, a musical cafe, and arts for our young people. And just across the street, behind the library, we will be breaking ground very soon on a residence hall for Miami City Ballet dancers that COO John Shoemaker needs to be truly competitive, and workforce housing for folks who work in our cultural and education communities. This bond will also provide the final funds, I hope, for the completion of the rotunda. It's that round thing in the middle of Pride Park, which will provide a new and novel performance space literally right in the middle of this incredible arts district. Now, another new venue isn't technically even in our city proper. We will fund the first phase of an aquatic sculpture park, a few hundred feet off our shoreline. I mean, it will not only be an exciting destination for ecotourism, but this brainchild of Jimena Kemenos also serves to reinforce our critical reef line. So that's amazing. Some of your bond money is going to make upgrades to existing venues that will give them a chance to expand and elevate their missions. The Bass Museum is getting something its director, Sylvia Kubina, and board chair George Lindemann have pined for: a new wing and other upgrades that will allow it to provide larger and more diverse exhibitions. Lourdes Lopez and the Miami City Ballet will have exciting new functionalities because of this bond. The Botanical Garden will make needed upgrades so that T.L. Brown and former Commissioner John Aliman and Susan Askew can present more diverse and amazing events and take on an even greater presence in our community. And right next door, the Holocaust Memorial is undergoing an already approved expansion so that it will have exhibition halls, holographic survivors, and Executive Director Sharon Horowitz will have the opportunity to grow its mission to fight hate and anti-Semitism, which we know, unfortunately, is on the rise in the world. And it just keeps going, guys. I'm sorry, but it's a big bond and it's a lot of culture. In South Beach, the funds for the Wolfsonian will allow our partner FIU and director Casey Stedman and former Commissioner Joy Malakoff to complete its major expansion so that it is more integrated into the community. And another FIU collaboration, the Jewish Museum in South of Fifth, will also get a much-needed refresh that Susan Gladstone has been asking for. On Ocean Drive, the Art Deco Welcome Center on 10th will be enhanced to meet new programmatic needs, so Daniel Seraldo will have even more to do. Let's keep him busy. And the New World Center, one of the crown jewels of our cultural landscape, will be getting needed work done throughout this entire campus. Howard, I want to thank you for being such a wonderful steward of this center. I also think it appropriate to acknowledge, really, the decades-long and incredible contribution to our city's cultural evolution of its founder and artistic director, Michael Tilson Thomas. And it keeps going, but I'm not going to, it's really significant what's happening in this community. Some of these funds are simply going to go to update venues that really need attention. The beautiful, and I'm proud to say, historically designated Bandshell in North Beach. Well, it will finally get a real backstage, a cafe, and other needed upgrades to help James Quinlan program this incredibly beautiful venue. And right next door to our Oceanfront Center, will finally receive the enhancements Victor Diaz has let us know it needs to provide better programming to so many, especially our seniors. And our seniors, because of this bond, can look forward to the Hispanic Community Center at the Coral Rock House opening. So that's amazing. And I want to just thank Gloria Campos from my office, who really treats our greatest generation with such love and respect. Thank you, Gloria. On Lincoln Road, the Colony Theater, which has become a hub of so much cultural fare, really due to Miami New Drama and its incredible impresaria, Michelle Hausman, who, yes, I've now acknowledged twice, will finally get its desperately needed upgrades to nearly every facet of this historic theater. And the Fillmore, which has fallen well below what we'd like it to be, is due for a major renovation. It is my hope that our partner Live Nation will contribute even more so that it returns to its not just original glory, but something incredibly special. Thank you. You know, it's not just venues. The bond also provides for unique and special artistic elements and investments in our city. I don't think people realize elements that will make these spaces so special and unforgettable. There are funds to support workforce housing for those employed in our cultural institutions. By the way, our cultural commitment is paying off in our schools. If you didn't know this, our STEAM Plus program, where our arts organizations, these same folks, actually teach STEM curriculum to our students, has really taken off. And I want to thank the Commission for investing in this. Last year, nearly 5,000 students from 7 public schools received 1,400 instructional hours from 11 participating cultural partners and 48 participating artist instructors. This is really incredible. And you're also going to see in this bond money that creates art in our public places. So that's really something incredible. I just think we should take a second to sit back and think about this and what we have done and where we are going. This bond is really going to elevate the cultural landscape of our city. It will diversify our economy in wonderful ways. It will give our residents the most amazing amenities unique to any place, to here. And it will project to the world who we are. So I want to thank our City Commission for their support and their hard work in implementing these bonds. Thank you. And our General Obligation Bond Committee has really done so much work, headed by incredible resident leader Karen Revo. Thank you, Karen. And I really need to give a special thanks to Commissioner Ricky Arriola, who has done so much before and during his tenure on this commission to push arts and culture to the forefront. Thank you very much, Ricky. Thank you. And finally, to all of the cultural institutions represented here today who have made this their mission, not just recently, but their life's work, please stand if you work for or support one of the cultural assets that we will be funding. Please stand if you're from any of these cultural assets. It is because of you that our residents trusted that you can do more if given more. My hope is that we will issue these bonds in the next few months so that this arts and culture evolution and, frankly, revolution can really commence. So none of this will happen on its own. I'd like to really thank the head of our GeoBond program, the unstoppable Maria Hernandez, our capital improvements department led by David Martinez, and Adrian Morales from property management and his team. Thank you, David, Adrian, and Maria. So in the same way that art and culture helps define a community, parks and green spaces are also critical to creating a sense of place. And of fostering community, of supporting families, of giving residents, young and old, a chance to enjoy our extraordinary climate and our healthy lifestyle. When I asked the community to approve our first GeoBond 3 years ago, it had 57 different projects. Critical were resources for parks and green spaces. Since I've been the mayor, we have added 5 new parks in every region of the city. It's easy to forget that this space was an abandoned lot, and now it does this. Or that, this was a parking lot, a glamorous parking lot, but is now a beautiful sculpture park for all of us to enjoy. Now, we've also completed the beach walk and begun to upgrade virtually every single one of our existing parks. They are beautiful, and they will be even more beautiful. And every time I see parents watching their kids play baseball or someone just reading a book on a bench, I feel an enormous swell of pride in our city. And this year, we have even more to look forward to. We will finally break ground, yes, on our new 19-acre Bayshore Park, which will include open meadows, water elements for resiliency, tennis, and yes, more pickleball, a dog and tot lot, a fitness area, and a much-needed butterfly garden. Maurice Gibbs Park's complete renovation will also begin this year with its custom-made music-themed play structure, fishing pier, walking paths, dog park, and bay overlook. It's really going to be beautiful. Brittany Bay Park will reopen this month with a new living shoreline and upgraded park features. Now, both North Shore and Flamingo Parks will begin their $20 million upgrades as well this year with all sorts of public-facing improvements because you can't have too many butterfly gardens in a city. And finally, the massive 35-acre North Beach Oceanside Park will complete its $10 million renovation by year's end. Wow, there's so much more good happening in our parks. Whether you want a place to walk your dog or are looking to just take up pickleball, said pickleball twice, I'm supposed to say it 3 times according to the pollsters, so much more and better is coming. Now, equally important is our parks programming. Our city park staff are on a mission to create timeless and infinite moments of fun, joy, and excitement. They're unbelievable, and I just want to really thank, and I'm putting their pictures up, John Rebar, our Parks Director, and Jose Del Risco, thank you so much, and Leslie Knope, Cindy Casanova have put together some of the most innovative programming for children of all ages. Sorry about that Leslie Knope thing, but it's never going to end. Now, our open spaces also include streetscapes and promenades. So many projects to get people out of their cars and homes and make our city more walkable and bikeable are in the queue or under construction right now. The city will begin construction on a protected bike lane on Indian Creek from 26th to 41st Street. Chase Avenue will be getting a shared use path as well. 23rd Street and West Avenue are each getting streetscapes improvements to make them even more walkable, and we will make permanent the partial pedestrianization of Espanola Way east from Washington Avenue, and we will deploy Slow Streets 2.0 pilot in the Flamingo Park neighborhood. This project will include green bike lanes along Jefferson Avenue, and a look for neighborhood traffic calming projects in the Bayshore, Normandy Isle, Palm View, and South of Fifth neighborhoods, among others. I mean, we are doing this all over the city. There is no neighborhood that's not going to get something special to make these places more walkable and more accessible to people. While the 7.5-mile beach walk is now complete, I can't use every one of my states of the city to keep, crowing about that. It's already complete. We got to move on. Okay. We have work to do on the Baywalk, so that just as you can walk for miles on the ocean side of our city, you will be able to stroll uninterrupted on the entire southwestern side of our bayside. What an incredible amenity. A critical piece is the 5th Street pedestrian bridge, which will not only become an iconic entryway to our city, but it will also allow for pedestrians and bicyclists to avoid navigating 5th Street traffic. It's amazing. Look at it. Look at this. Construction of this Daniel Buren Bridge will start this summer. Other segments of the Baywalk will begin this year and next, so that's really going to be awesome. And of course, our biggest pedestrian mall, Lincoln Road, is now slated to finally begin its $60 million revitalization. That will include updating so many of its iconic elements, but also adding infrastructure and additional features like children's play areas and a gateway signage. Construction will also begin this summer. Finally, Ocean Drive, the postcard of our city. Now, our commission approved a plan last year that included interim changes and a long-term vision. The one-lane southbound with protected bike lanes seems to have worked. And the pedestrian promenade on the north end has become a wonderful space for residents and visitors. So I want to thank our resident group, So Be Safe, as well as our Ocean Drive advocates, Jonathan Plutzik and Ceci Velasquez, for all of your efforts. But now we must begin the implementation of the permanent reimagination of Ocean Drive into a true promenade like no other. This year, we will begin in earnest its design and construction. Our city has also very much leaned into making all of these outdoor spaces more inviting, accessible, and frankly cooler. So the first GEO bond provided for 5,000 new trees, mostly canopy trees. As of today, we have delivered 2,000 trees to nearly every single neighborhood in our city. I got one, but no special treatment. I think they just had to put it there. The same bond provides for upgrades of 2.5 million square feet of sidewalks, of which 600,000 square feet have already been completed. So we are in a very good place in that we seem to truly understand what kind of city we want to be. But that doesn't mean we don't have real challenges. They need to be talked about honestly, and they need to be addressed directly. So let's start. We have 85,000 residents who statistically are usually not the perpetrators or the victims of crimes. Rather, it's the more than 10 million who visit us who tend to occupy those categories. The spring break type of disorder, which is not limited to just March, forces our cops to essentially police someone else's playground. Last year, our cops handled over 75,000 calls. They made over 4,500 arrests. It's not easy to constantly deal with crowds that include people who are intoxicated or high, or the few who come here with just bad intentions. And our cops, well, they are under a microscope. But they get up every single day, prepared to do something difficult and even heroic. So Chief Clements and Deputy Chief Jones, thank you. Thank you, all our police. Thank you for what you do every single day and what you're prepared to do every day. But we need more police and policing because we can't allow some of the disorder in South Beach to interfere with police presence elsewhere. And South Beach has so many residential neighborhoods now, we can't forget about that. So we need a constant and overt police presence. So you know, our newest budget provides for new police officers. We have onboarded 17 new officers this year, and 13 more will be in the police academy next month. That's a lot of more police. We've also converted 20 park rangers from part-time to full-time, which will provide an enormous amount of coverage in parks and on the beach walk where it is so needed. So last year, by the way, we also added an entire bicycle patrol squad to the Art Deco Cultural District. And I believe and I hope others agree, we need to bring back horse-mounted police in this area as well. Yes, cops on horseback right on Ocean Drive. Now, thanks to the GEO bond, we now have 1,300 camera views in our city to combat crime, and we expect to begin construction of the real-time crime center in the fall. That's going to be a big help. And last year, we also created a noise enforcement and abatement team that has already issued 300 noise-related infractions. And in 2021, our city residents, despite over $1 million campaign in opposition from Ocean Drive, asked us to roll back liquor sales to 2 a.m. Yes, I'm talking about it. Since that vote, we have failed to honor that clear directive. So I'm going to ask, we're going to have to pick it back up. We're back to 7. I'll ask my colleagues to please consider implementing ordinances at an upcoming commission meeting that roll back our liquor in the appropriate areas. We don't need to be Las Vegas or Bourbon Street. We are Miami Beach, all right? So our city has had a recurring problem with enforcement of some of the minor quality of life offenses. I want to thank Vice Mayor Steve Miner for his laser-like focus on these issues, including his efforts to create our own court system and ordinances for addressing these violations. Thank you, Vice Mayor Miner. So homelessness. We have at last count 167 homeless people in our community. Many are resistant to housing, some are frankly predatory, but some are simply just homeless. So we need to address all the faces of homelessness. Those that want housing and jobs, we need to help. But those who are predatory or whose mental illness endangers the public, well, they cannot be ignored or neglected. We now have 2 full police squads within the Homeless Resource Unit. This 7-day-a-week coverage has led to over 1,200 engagements with homeless individuals, more than 300 referrals for homeless services, and nearly 300 arrests for criminal behavior. Our homeless outreach team last year had over 4,000 contacts, 459 shelter placements, and 182 family reunifications. Really amazing. These are real people, and they have real stories, like Wanda Jamain, a special needs elderly grandmother who caretakes for 2 special needs grandchildren. Miss Jamain and her family were struggling with finding housing in our city, and we assisted her and her family through the first-time home buyers program. The family are now Miami Beach residents and reside in a 2-bedroom apartment. Thank you for being here. Or Gene Keener, our homeless outreach services team worked with Mr. Keener, a single dad with 2 children, and temporarily placed them in a hotel for 2 days while we secured permanent housing. We assisted the family with rapid rehousing and paid for 3 months of rent assistance and parking. This single father is now working full-time and is successfully housed in Miami Beach. That's pretty amazing. It's so important that we get this right, because there are communities just like ours, and you've probably been to them, that have been overridden with homelessness. We have not, at least not yet, which is why I urge our commission to continue to support county efforts led by Mayor Daniela Levine Cava to build housing throughout the county for those homeless willing to accept placement. We need to do that. We cannot wait to respond to a crisis. We need to act now to avoid one. And look, it's hard, I know. I've seen the officers, the employees who do this. There is nothing easy about addressing homelessness. So I would like to acknowledge the people in our city who do this. Alba, where are you? Stand up, please. Alba Tari, who runs the outreach side. Thank you. And Sergeant Jerome Berrien, where are you? Is there, who leads the police side. Really, they do remarkable work in a very difficult area, so we're grateful. Now, beyond homelessness, we need to worry about making sure we have affordable housing inventory. That's an issue here and, frankly, everywhere. Now, many of the projects I've already spoken about, especially those that will support workers in the cultural and arts community, that has some potential, but it's limited. It's got limited impact given the massive unmet need that exists. I think our new CRA in North Beach can really contribute meaningfully because it will essentially allow us to sort of rededicate captured funds of raising property values to workforce housing. That's what it does. It's like a mousetrap that does this. So I want to thank Miami-Dade Commissioner Higgins for your efforts, and of course former Commissioner Sally Hayman for yours, and to my colleague Commissioner Rosen Gonzalez for reminding us of this very important and unmet need. Thank you all. So public safety includes fire and disaster preparedness. So we are adding 14 new firefighters, a new fireboat, and we are beginning work on our desperately needed fire station #1. Our firefighters, along with our PD and fleet management, are incredible. They've helped beyond our borders by providing help in disasters like the Champlain Towers collapse and to nearly every major hurricane aftermath, including the recently deadly Hurricane Ian. Speaking of Hurricane Ian, 150 souls should not be lost to a slow-moving hurricane. I have asked our manager and county counterparts to prepare tabletop exercises for our community, which, like Fort Myers, is also a barrier island, so we can assure that we are prepared for just such an event. This is very important. So thank you to Chief Virgil Fernandez, please stand up, Chief, for leading, really, for leading one of the highest rated departments in the county, in the country. And congratulations to our first female deputy chief. I expect a big applause. Fire Chief Digna Abello. And of course, so thank you, and thank you to all of our fire professionals. They really are awesome. All right, let's just talk now about traffic. Traffic is bad, okay? If you didn't know, it's couldn't be untrue because it's on the board up there. And we understand why. We are a 7.5-mile barrier island. We have more people, more visitors, and more cars. And over the last few decades, we've also become younger with residents who are less homebound, who want to get out and do things. And we don't really have a true mass transit system with the county. So we have to figure out how to move people here and how we can better move folks within our city. It shouldn't take an hour or hours, frankly, to go from South Beach to North Beach. That's just wrong. I want to thank, again, Mayor Daniela Levine Cava for stepping up to advance solutions that help our residents and, frankly, not lobbyists. She was wise to abandon the Genting monorail proposal on 5th Street that would have done very little to help us and brought massive disruption as it would have been constructed. I believe an extension of the Metro Mover could provide a one-seat ride to downtown and other hubs. We need to be thinking about that, but those won't happen for years or longer, and we really do need relief now. Our free trolley is moving 225,000 people a month and is now available every 15 to 20 minutes, so that will help. Thank you to my commissioners for making that happen. Bus rapid transit is a medium-term fix, especially to move workers to our hotels and hospitals. But that is not solving our problems immediately and in the long term. Many of our arteries are controlled by the state and the county. Our drawbridges are controlled by the Coast Guard. Some of our roads will soon be subject to construction, adding even more challenges for our residents. So I think it's important that we get together on this with all of the different facets of those involved. So we will be convening an all-hands-on-deck summit where county commissioners, state officials, federal authorities, and even FPL, we're going to have to roll up our sleeves and help us address these real congestion challenges. I know my commission wants to do this. I appreciate so much the hard work of Commissioner Alex Fernandez, who has done so much to bring this issue to the forefront, and Commissioner David Richardson, who serves and represents us on the Regional Transportation Authority. County Commissioner Higgins has also been a strong advocate for us on traffic issues, and our former colleague and new County Commissioner Mickey Steinberg will continue her fine work, we know that. We will need all of them to solve this challenge. Let's finally talk about something that is not unique to our city, but what our city is addressing first. All over the world, cities are wringing their hands as to how to address climate change and sea level rise. We are past the point of worry and words. We have a plan. We are well into that plan, and it is working. In every place we have raised our roads and converted to a pumped water management system, we have substantially reduced flooding. That is working, folks. Our approach works. It proves this challenge is entirely surmountable. But we need to continue to be aggressive, because if we don't act, we will suffer real repercussions as a community. I want to thank all of our West Avenue resident leaders. Phase 2 will commence construction within 3 months. We have designed 60% of our First Street road raising, so that project will soon follow. But beyond those projects, over the last few years, our city has become, and I'm so proud of this, a true leader in environmental stewardship. Our plastic-free Miami Beach program has reduced single-use plastics throughout the city, with nearly 200 participating restaurants. So successful, by the way, that the county and other cities across America have replicated our exact program. It's amazing. Our commitment to clean water and a cleaner bay, we have implemented the most stringent fertilizer ordinance in the state, and the county also followed suit. So we are setting the standard for that. And of course, we are phasing out those noisy gasoline-powered leaf blowers. Everybody. When I became the mayor, we had 16 hybrid vehicles. Today, we have 174 electric and hybrid. But progress is good, but we need to be off of gas-powered vehicles within years, not decades. So that's got to move faster. And I'd like to thank all our residents who do their part, and we really have an incredible resident community to protect our air, our water, and our environment. So many participate in beach cleanups, and they help create a sense of responsibility in our city. I think they're here, but I'd like to, if they please rise, Sophie Ringel and Dave and Dara Dobler, if you're here. Thank you so much. Honestly, I thank them every state of the city, but I feel like I should thank them every single day, because they're working every single day on a kayak or just with a whole bunch of people, making sure that our beaches are clean. And thank you, Alex Fernandez, for getting rid of those cigarette stubs. We're really happy to see them off of our beaches. This couldn't happen without a really committed staff. I've always been so proud of our sustainability and resiliency section. Thank you, Amy Knowles and her team, for creating a more sustainable community. And I want to give a special call out, and you don't have to applaud if you don't want to, it's not necessary, to my, that's a joke, to my insanely talented Chief of Staff, Michelle Berger. She is like a sister. Sorry, Barbara. But I wanted to talk about her. She's really incredible. And her work on the Aspen Ideas Fest Climate is something that most of you don't even know about. On March 6th, leaders from all over the world in government, academia, and business will meet in our city for this second annual event. It's unbelievable. We are the host to plot solutions to our world climate crisis. Michelle is the primary producer of this event, in addition to everything else she does. And this conference has brought the greatest climate thinkers and doers in the world to our city, which obviously will benefit us. Thank you, Michelle Berger, for all you do. All right, let's bring this home, all right? When my father swore me into this office 5 years ago, I had a plan. But as Mike Tyson famously observed, everyone has a plan until they're punched in the face. COVID was that punch. I feel privileged, really privileged, to have led this city at this critical moment, and in the years that have followed. which have been so unique, presenting us so much opportunity, so much potential, I want to thank my colleagues on the City Commission for their time and work in navigating these moments. Really appreciate their efforts. And I want to thank all our city staff. Our community has unique complexities. I mean, we are, 85,000 on Tuesday and 400,000 on Saturday. And I'm always heartened by their work, by their can-do attitude and their ultimate professionalism. So thank you to all the city staff who are here. I try not to take for granted the exceptionalism of our community, but it's really hard not to. I mean, we all see it. I see so many moments that in any other place would be unique and mind-blowing. But for us, it's just Tuesday. And integral to each one seems to be residents who see the canvas of our community and decide, I can work with that. Like the community that has made the North Beach Fountain a center of cultural activity, led by the mayor of the fountain, David Sexton. Or the constant offerings, constant in Collins Park, spearheaded by their mayor for life, Ray Breslin. Or the mayor of Belle Isle, Wendy Rugg, who finds ways to generate a sense of community in her corner of the world. Or Ceci Velasquez, the mayor of Ocean Drive, and her single-minded mission to fill this promenade with unforgettable activations. Or Mayor Cindy Esquivel in South of Fifth, who knows the name of every puppy and fosters such pride in the neighborhood. Or Lyle Stern. Lyle Stern, the mayor of Lincoln Road, figuring out how to put culture into every corner of this historic promenade. It's really amazing. When Commissioner David Richardson spearheaded our food drives during COVID, and I watched, I think, thousands of our residents show up to help strangers over and over and over again, and still show up because David's efforts continue. It was a reminder that we are not just any place. We are a special place. When you live in our city, when you live in Miami Beach, you have a sense of place. And that, my friends, that's exactly what we're going for. So remember, millions of people spend months and years saving up so they can spend just a few nights in our city. Smile. You get to wake up in Miami Beach every day. Thank you for the privilege of being your mayor. Thank you. Thank you.